Take it away, Dave.
Folks, welcome back to the Get Off Our Lawn show. I know it's been a while, but we are back. And my name is Dave Jackson, coming to you from the very much more famous Butler, PA right now. And down there in North Carolina, coming back off the whirlwind tour of Hamilton, his beard. The beard was occasionally to sit in for any forefathers, founding fathers, pork chop sideburn, and that beard's manager is Mr. Dave Seymour.
Wow. I had no idea. I was going to pull out my powdered wig today, but I did not.
And we are very delighted to have, from the class of 80, continuing on our theme of folks from the class of 80 of Dryden, New York, Mr. Gene Cobb. Gene, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great, man.
We're doing good.
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there, right? Better than the alternative.
Gene, I know you said you saw one of the shows, so you know the format. So basically what we want to do is start out with just kind of give us a timeline after when we graduated school, we grabbed a diploma, walked off that field, just kind of give us a timeline of what happened to Gene up to now. You just give us what you want to tell us about what you've been up to since we graduated school.
Oh, let's see. Few odd jobs after I graduated, here and there, nothing serious. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. Sometime in the mid 80s, I hooked up with a local band out of Cortland called Centaur.
Yes, I remember Centaur.
Started doing stage production with them. That kind of blossomed and ended up on the road with major bands, seeing the world without having to be in the military.
Oh.
So drop some names. Who were some of the major bands?
Savoy Brown was the first.
Oh.
Sanctuary. Just here and there. That was about it.
Okay. All righty.
First overseas trip was to England and then some of the European countries, which was exciting.
Oh yeah, I bet. No kidding.
And you were doing stagehand kinds of stuff, production?
Yeah, doing drum tech and production. And
did you climb up in the scaffolding?
a little bit.
Okay.
Did you do any rigging?
No, I did not do rigging.
Okay. Any gripping?
No, rigging.
No. That another
grip.
thing
is
a grip.
Yeah, the grip. Yeah.
We left that for the lighting guy, who I'm sure you guys know is an upperclassman, Billy Beck.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Billy. Yeah. So you did that. Then what happened?
Ended up meeting my first wife and settling in Newfield, New York.
The lovely town of Newfield.
And then I got involved musically with Shane Hartman, Kirk Griffin, and Matt Barnes, and we created the band Bent Peg.
Tell me the name again.
Name that. What's the name?
Bent Peg.
Bent Peg. I like it.
All right.
So
I like it.
Search YouTube, you can see some of our videos.
I'm on it, brother.
We'll be there momentarily.
Yes. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So
we signed with a small label and did 3 recordings. And then that raised a kid, raised a son.
Well, give us the story. How old's your son now? What's he doing? Give us some family scoop.
Son was born in 86.
Okay.
Oh, no, 93.
Okay.
So 31 now. I've got 2 grandkids, both boys. They're wonderful.
How old are the grandkids?
5 and 2.
Okay. Boy or girl?
Both boys.
Both boys. Okay.
The one I had a uncle that converted to Mormonism, and part of that gig is to trace the family tree.
Okay. Yep.
And he took it back to 649 AD and the Celts.
Oh.
Okay.
And one of the common names that have come down through is Calvin.
Okay.
My oldest brother's son's name is Calvin, and he's the last one.
Okay.
So I'm highly encouraging my son and his wife, if they have more kids, to get Calvin in there somewhere.
Get one more time, right? One more Calvin.
Yeah.
What's your son do for a living?
He works maintenance for a number of apartment buildings that are owned by one company.
Does your daughter-in-law work?
Yeah, she's one of the rental agents for the same company.
All right. So getting back to this bent peg.
So yeah,
What
tell us
I
about bent peg a little bit.
what was your part in bent peg, or is your part in bent peg?
Bass player.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What are the odds? What are the odds? So when did you start playing about? See, now we gotta back up. So
Now we got
Dave
to back up and
let us
look at
know.
bass playing now.
Yeah, I want to hear the whole bass playing story now.
Um,
When did you start playing bass?
when did I start playing bass? I think it was 16 or 17.
Okay, right before the end of high school, then.
Yeah.
All right.
And the first one was a Gibson EBO that I bought off one of the Plurd boys. I can't remember if it was Steve or Scott that I bought it from.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't realize Plurd had a bass.
I
Did
remember Steve did, but it wasn't an EBO. Steve bought this big old hunk of wood P bass knockoff.
Right.
Okay.
So at some time while we were in elementary school, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but Gary Bordenero and Al Maycumber sat in with the band in the upstairs gym for some kind of production.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And I was there and watched the production. And then after everybody left, I kind of just stayed up in the bleachers
Mm-hmm.
and Gary and Al started jamming.
Yes.
And that was the catalyst that, to me, I said, I want to do what Gary's doing.
This is fascinating to me.
This is interesting because I used to go watch Gary and Max at Tweetman's, like starting in ninth grade, right? Underaged, sneaking in behind the one door had a column that would block the view from the bar.
Right.
And you could sit there and I would watch Max when they were playing at Tweetman's. And so Gary was the guy that got me involved in this whole bass thing, right? I was looking at Gary going, I want to do that.
And see, I was looking at Dave Seymour going, I want to do that. That's how I got started.
So
Right.
this had to be like a school musical production then that Gary and Al sat in for the pit band?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what the production was. No recollection of that at all.
Was it at the high school or was it at the
No,
elementary school?
it was the upper gym in the elementary school.
The old gym, yeah.
Yeah, the old gym. They
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
stage and bleachers and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Very
Wow.
cool.
So what else in your bass playing musician world have you done?
On and off cover bands here and there. I was in one called Driving Blind that played locally for I don't know how many years.
Was that a Toby band?
No, that was not.
Okay.
That was some local guys from Newfield.
Okay. And so
And
how long have you been playing bass in different bands?
my very first gig
Yeah.
with a band was Tweetman's what do you call it? Amateur night.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Thursday night or something like that. So on and off over the years since then.
Okay. So that had to be probably right after high school, right?
Yeah, probably 81 or 82.
Me too.
Jen with Jeff Partis right after high school. That didn't last much longer than a summer. Me, Jeff, and Paul Long on drums.
Paul Long was playing drums?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Wow. Because he sang in chorus, but I don't remember him being in band. So he must have not.
I think that was
How
the
did we
only
not
one.
how did we not know Gene was a bass player? That's amazing.
That's pretty much it. I have no idea. We're done. I can just wrap this up now.
This is great. I love this. This is awesome. Oh, as much as I want to talk about grandkids and family, I'm really fascinated by
Right.
that.
So you
So-
played through the 80s with different cover bands and whatnot then?
Well,
And then
more through the 90s.
and through the
Right.
90s?
My musical career, as far as playing, really didn't take off until after I got sober.
Ah, okay.
I ended up getting tagged for 2 DWIs in 84 and 85.
Wow, real early in the time frame.
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, I went to rehab and found AA and got sober.
Good for you, man. Very cool.
Is after that point, is that when you went on tour with the bands doing the rigging stuff?
Yeah.
So you're a bass player. You're also in the stage management part of life, touring, set up for bands. Did you ever get the well, I'm sure you got the itch to play on stage at some of these places where you did your stage management stuff. But did you ever get a chance to jam with any of the bands that you actually worked for? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
We were in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was Savoy Brown, and we were doing sound check.
Mhm.
Billy, I don't know if you know this or not, is a guitar player.
Yep.
So me, Al, and Billy started jamming on some Blue Oyster Cult.
Okay. As one
And
does.
Now, when you
upstairs
say
at this place,
sorry, when you say Al, do you mean Al Maycumber?
yes.
Okay, all right.
And upstairs in the same building, the Bad Brains were rehearsing.
Okay. I don't know the Bad Brains.
I don't either. That's
They were
okay.
a punk band.
Punk
Okay.
band. With a
That's a
name like
punk
that,
band.
they ought to be punk.
That's a good punk band name.
So that was probably one of the most interesting. The other was in Cranbrook, British Columbia, getting to jam with Long John Baldry.
I'm not familiar with that artist either.
He's a really old English blues guy, is on the funnier side with his stuff. And it was just a hoot to jam with him,
Oh, I bet.
with him and his band.
That's cool.
Wow.
So when did you come off of the rigging band management kind of stuff?
That was probably late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. Was that pre-grant or pre-kids then, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, touring and kids don't often mix.
And I ended up with a job at Convenient Food Mart in Community Corners, managing the deli.
Okay.
And that's how I met my first wife. She worked there.
Okay. All right.
And so then you started to do that at the food management, deli management. And then you had your son. How many kids did you have? Sorry.
He's the only one.
We had one kid. Okay, one boy.
Yep. Wasn't for lack of trying.
Practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. And so during the 90s then, were you doing music at all or had you set that
Yeah.
aside?
It was probably, I remember somewhere there's a video floating around of Ben Pegg doing a benefit in Newfield. And my son, as a toddler, shortly after he started to walk, was running around in the audience. So that would have put it around probably 94 or 95, 96, somewhere around there.
Now I've got a couple of Bent Peg videos here. One's from 96, Club Semester in Ithaca.
Yep.
There's one at the Basement in Cortland from 96 and 97.
Yep.
All right, I'll go down. Here's one Bent Peg at the Haunt.
Yep.
In 96. I'll have to go dig. I'll have to watch through these. I'll put links in the description.
Oh, come on. Come on. Don't tease me like this. Just can you slide one up real quick? I got to see this, Dave. Slide one. Do the one in the basement. Just slide that puppy in. Let's see this.
All right. So you want the Bent Peg.
Picture that.
This is you on the left here, right?
Look at this. Look at this. Gene, what are we playing there? Looks like a jazz bassy kind of thing.
Yes, it is. It's a jazz bass with the lace sensors.
There you go.
I had two. I had that one and I had a all black one. And one of them was set up in drop D and the other one was set up in E.
Oh, so you're doing heavier stuff like what was that? That was the grunge era.
Yeah.
With the drop D stuff.
Yeah, what was the highlights of your song list that you can remember of that era?
One of the songs that the people really, really, really got into was a song called Melt.
Melt?
Melt.
By
Okay.
who?
By us.
It was an original.
I was going to say, now how much of this was original music and how much was cover music?
Ben Pegg was all original.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna do some research later, brother.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I will
I'm
definitely
in.
provide some links to Bent Peg in the description and whatnot. I may even take a couple of screen captures there.
All right. So where are we on the timeline now? Where are we at?
Well, let's see. Bent Peg was doing like 96, 97, 98, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere around in there. Then
Okay.
I departed and they got another bass player and kept going.
Now, why'd you depart, if I may ask? And I did. Creative
Artistic,
differences, financial
artistic differences.
differences.
I wanted to stay in the more heavier vein,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
and they wanted to go into a more ska kind of vein.
Oh, ska. Okay.
Yeah,
And you're like, nope.
yeah. I'm like, I wasn't,
That wasn't your thing.
All
not my
right.
thing.
All right. So where'd you go to after that? What happened after that?
Oh, let's see. I went into, and then I got into Driving Blind, which was a cover band, putting money in my pocket every weekend.
Mhm.
There you go. And were you still doing the grocery store thing at that point?
No, I was during Ben Peg. I was working in a factory called American Poly Steel Forms. They were polystyrene
Mm-hmm.
with steel reinforced, and then they were put in this machine and molded, and they were for building. They
Okay.
stacked kind of like Legos. They were tongue and groove,
Mm-hmm.
and then you poured concrete down the middle of these things with a slightly higher slump than normal,
Mm-hmm.
so it would settle. And there's many different types of this product out there, but it was American Polysteel was the one I was working for.
And
Now, where was that at?
where
Was
was
that
that factory
That
located?
was on a back road in Newfield. The main factory for that was in Arizona, and the owner was in Arizona. We were a secondary kind of servicing the Northeast. That ended up shutting down. And what did I do? I got involved with the alarm industry, installing and testing, doing alarms,
Was that
burglar alarm, fire alarm,
commercial or homes?
both. I started out with Omega Systems out of Freeville, and then went to PAX Security out of Coral. PAX Security, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, so I ended up leaving that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I went back to school and became a nurse.
Ah,
Nurse. So did you go to world famous TC3?
No, I went to OCM BOCES in Cortland. Quick and intense 1 year program. Passed my boards in 2005, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
wow. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
That's cool.
My first wife's mother was diabetic and had kidney failure, and taking her up to dialysis every week, I kind of got to know the nurses there. And that's what kind of sparked the interest in going into this field.
Interesting.
And so do you have a nurse specialty?
I have not worked a job yet that I've had to wear scrubs. The reason behind this is the scrubs in school were white pants and blue tops.
Okay.
So guess what my nickname was?
Oh, hang on.
Papa Smurf.
Papa Sm-
Oh, well, all right.
So now I work for a company, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. It's Racker Center,
Don't know.
and there's 27 or 28 homes around Tompkins and Tioga County, and it's for mentally and physically disabled people. The house I work at is high medical and both mentally and physically disabled.
Okay.
Very honorable, sir. Very honorable.
Well, thank you.
Very nice.
I finally found my niche, I think.
So how old were you when you started nursing? How far in the life were you?
I started school in 2004.
Wow. Nice, Gene.
So yeah.
Now, amongst all this nursing stuff, are you still playing bass on the side? Are you doing anything musically?
I right now I consider myself semi-retired. If the right thing with the right vibe comes along, I just got a message on Messenger from Sonny Frost, who's a guitar player that lives near me, wanting to jam. So we're going to hook up next Monday and see what happens and go from there.
Okay. Wow. Don't stop playing, man. Don't
No.
stop playing.
It always travels well.
Yeah. And always makes for a great conversation.
I don't remember how many years ago it was now, but probably 5 or 6. I picked up a 3/4 scale Hamer and strung it as a piccolo bass.
You still have it?
Oh yeah. So I sit in with Toby's band here and there with that when they have their parties up at Bryan.
Now, what tune do you play on the piccolo bass?
Whatever their set list is.
Really? So you just
Yeah, play it.
you just double up. You just double up with who's the bass? It's not Clive. Who's the bass player for?
Dave Kimbrough. No,
So
I actually play it more like a guitar, like a four.
I was gonna say, do you do lead stuff on it, or do you back up the bass player? Okay, all right.
I'm not a lead player. I'm a rhythm guy.
Piccolo bass.
So how do you, if I can ask, how do you tune that, and or what gauge strings do you use?
You use lighter strings. Let me go.
I love show and tell.
Yeah.
The only guy I know who played piccolo bass was Stanley Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey DeMeo from Manowar also played piccolo bass. So all of my regular basses, I had my guitar tech redo them so they're tuned. Those are tuned down in A. I've only got one bass that's actually tuned in E.
You tune them down to A. So is that a 5 or a 6 string?
No, it's a 4-string.
A 4 string turned down to A.
All my muscle memory is for a 4-string guitar. Don't dabble in 5-string or 6-string.
Now you're reaching down to King's X land.
Oh yeah,
where they tune down to an A.
So
I didn't realize King's X did that. I didn't know that.
oh yeah, he uses a 12-string.
Yeah, he's I saw him last summer and he pulled out the 12 string, and then he's also playing a Hamer 4-string that's got a hollow body to it.
Right.
But they're all detuned like way down.
Yeah. If you listen to the album Dogman, the production on that album specifically is just monster.
It is monster bass on that.
So the piccolos are 52, 42, 32, and 20p.
Say that again. You said 50.
52, 42, 32, and then it says 20p, but the 20 is not wound.
Right. Okay. It's not a wound string. All right.
Right.
So that's more like the high. A G string is usually like 45 or 50. So they get thinner from up there.
Right.
Okay. Yep.
Then I just do E, A, D, G.
Okay. Sorry, I had to geek out on that for a minute.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Other folks might not appreciate it, but I freaking dig it.
That's what I'm saying. I had to go down that path for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I can say I know somebody else who plays piccolo bass.
Yeah.
What kind of amp you playing through now?
I'm playing through an Orange Terror Bass 1000.
What's the cab? Is it
Ampeg HLF 410.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it was a 410 or something else.
Yeah.
And then the piccolo, I've got one that I put together that's rack. That's an EV amp and a couple of preamps and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
And run it like a guitar rig.
I'm digging the ceiling.
Is that a copper ceiling or coffered?
I don't know. This was her family's house, which we ended up inheriting a house in 60 acres.
Now, okay, let's go to that. Let's go to that real quick. We've heard about your first wife. Now we're on
the second wife.
Now we have the second wife. When did you get remarried?
2018.
2018.
Okay.
Where did you guys meet?
Originally, way back in the original band scene, she was friends with people that were in another band that was playing the same circuit we were.
Oh.
So we crossed paths back then. But then when I went to work for George Jr. as a nurse, I worked there for 8.5 years. She originally worked down in administration and then moved up to the medical clinic as office manager.
Oh, okay.
At George Jr.
Yeah. So we used to fight over the thermostat because I always wanted the air conditioning low. And she'd have it turned up. I'd turn it down. She'd turn it back up. And then at some point we became movie buddies and it just blossomed from there.
Yeah. And what's her name?
Renee.
Renee. Nice to meet you, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Two bloodhounds, Howie and Lola. Howie is Howie Snifter Snatch. And do you remember the cartoon Opus?
Oh yeah, the penguin. Yeah.
And Lola Granola?
Yes.
The female's name is Lola Granola.
There you go.
Okay.
Doonesbury. Doonesbury Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doonesbury. Yeah. That was a great comic. That was great. Too funny. Wow. All right. So now we got that out of the way, I believe. We got any more family oriented or band oriented questions for him, Dave, before we move on to the next topic?
No, so now we're in between bands, semi-retired, waiting for the call.
Yes.
All
right.
Right. You plan on retiring anytime soon? What's your game plan? What's the dream here? What's Gene's dream?
I turned 62 in October, and maximum retirement agency is 67. So I'm shooting for 67, but we'll see how the health holds out. I just had a bit of a scare a few weeks ago where
Oh,
I ended up having a pacemaker put in.
yikes. How's that working out for you?
And so far so good. In 22, I came down with COVID. In September of 22, I was at work and just did not feel right and told my boss I was going home. Called Renee, told her, she goes, you need to call your PCP and get an appointment and go there. So I did, and they ran an EKG on me, and my heart rate was bouncing all over the place.
Yikes.
Like up into the 90s, down in the 40s, literally bouncing up and down, going all over the place. So the NP that saw me said, you're going to the emergency room now. And I got admitted. I was there for a week. They tried to do a physical stress test on me, and because of what my heart was doing, they couldn't. So they had to do a chemical stress test on me.
Mhm.
They thought that it was post-COVID related. They started me on a couple of new meds, and for a couple of years I was fine. And about 8 weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of the night like I normally do. I always wake up around 3 o'clock. And this odd feeling flushed through my body. So they couldn't, this was September of 22. I was in the hospital for a week, and they couldn't do the physical stress test. They had to do the chemical stress test. Long story short, one of the cardiologists I was talking to said, this is probably post-COVID, and you wouldn't believe the number of males in the military that this has happened to. So it should resolve itself. So they started me on a couple of new meds, running along for a couple of years just fine. And then about 8 weeks ago, like I said, 3 o'clock in the morning, woke up and had this odd feeling just flush through my body. It lasted for maybe 10 seconds and then went away. Didn't know what it was, didn't really pay any attention. Got up and went to work. About a week later, I got to work. I get to work at 6 in the morning, started the breathing treatment on my first resident, and went into the bathroom and felt like I was going to pass out. So put my head down, started to go away, came back up, came back, put my head down a second time. It went away and mostly stayed away. I was able to finish what I was doing. Went back into the med room, did a couple things, came out in the living room and felt like I was standing there, felt like I was going to pass out. And my first thought was, no way I can drive like this. So I went out to the kitchen and had a coworker call the ambulance. So the paramedic gets there and he's trying to get a finger pulse on me and couldn't do it. My coworker handed me a pulse oximeter. I put it on. My pulse at that time was 33.
Mm. Good
I
Lord.
was sweaty and pale, but I was alert and conscious and oriented. So the ambulance gets there. The paramedics put me in there. They hook me up to an EKG. The paramedic looks at me and says, your pulse is 22.
And you're still alert, hanging around. You're still alert.
Still alert, still talking to him, answering questions.
Wow.
So they get me to the hospital. They do a CT scan on me. They don't really find anything. They admit me. What happened was, I'm sorry, at that point, thought that my dose of Entresto was too high and that I had stimulated my vagal nerve. Now, I don't know if you guys know what the vagal nerve is, but it runs all the way down your body. And if you are straining on the toilet, you can stimulate it and pass out.
Oh, okay.
This is how a lot of
had no idea.
This is how a lot of old people die in bathrooms.
Very duly noted then.
Because they pass out and fall and break sinks and there's sharp porcelain and they cut themselves and bleed to death.
That's what the scenario right there. All
Right.
right, so back to you.
So I follow up with my main doctor. He concurs with the Entresto dose and the vagal, and my cardiologist also concurs with that. But she orders a Holter monitor, which is one of these little things that sticks over your chest and monitors your heart.
Right. You wear it for a couple days or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this comes on a Saturday. We put it on. Tuesday morning, my wife, around 2 o'clock, I wake up. My wife says I was pursed lip breathing like I was in labor. So I think it's just another one of the episodes and go back to sleep and get up at 4:30 like I normally do. And there's a voicemail from the monitoring company and a voicemail from my cardiologist. So I call the cardiologist back and he says, the monitoring company called and your heart stopped for 15 seconds. You need to get to the hospital now. I wake the wife up and off to the hospital we go. I was admitted on Wednesday. The pacemaker went in on Thursday and I was sent home on Friday.
So the bottom line is your heart got damaged probably due to COVID.
Right.
Wow.
So here we are. And they said, take 4 weeks off and heal. And I went back to work on the 24th.
How you feeling?
Feel fine. Yeah. Pacemaker was put in on the 19th.
July or June?
July.
Wow.
Like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Ain't technology something?
Yep.
I don't know what the current class of pacemakers, what they do nowadays. Are they, other than keeping you alive, are they wired Wi-Fi to some other organization that tells you what's going on? Is it Bluetooth somehow, or what the hell is it now?
There's an app on my phone.
Yep.
That monitors the pacemaker and that gets sent to a monitoring company.
Yeah, so it's either Bluetooth or Wi. It's probably Bluetooth rather than Wi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah. Because my dad had a pacemaker for a while, and so they would do software updates on him. You know, so
Right.
they bring the probe over, lay it on his pacemaker. You know, they do a Windows update, you know, and then
Right.
airlines would shut down and all that kind of stuff. And then
Yeah, like I've got this little card in my wallet now that I can't go through a metal detector. And I asked him how long it was good for, and he said 14 to 16 years. So
Yep.
that'll put me into my 80s at that point. So
Yeah. And by that time, pacemakers will be something you put like behind your ear or something.
Right.
Like that.
probably.
Right.
Well, they got to change the batteries out and do all kinds of funny things. So my dad went through a couple cycles of that kind of thing. You know, here's a new one.
Well, we're glad you're healthy and you're on the rise here, Gene. Wow, that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
So am I, and so is my wife.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
So you're now in the recovery period before you go back to work.
No, I'm back to work.
You're back to work already.
Just
Yeah, I
like
went
that.
back to
Look
work
at him.
went to back to work on the 24th.
Now, do you have any work limitations? Is there stuff you can't do?
No. Full.
Wow.
The only limitations I had after the operation was they didn't want me lifting my arm up
Mhm.
over my head or behind me because they until the leads that are in the heart heal,
Oh,
those motions can pull them out.
Yes.
gotcha. So no climbing trees. Okay.
Right. Well, we're past
Wow.
that now. So
Wow. All right. Well, now that we're updated on your health and well-being, which I'm wonderfully grateful for, let's talk school a little bit. Hey, Dave, do you have that picture handy?
Oh, I do. You know, I do.
You know, Gene.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got a few of you. You have a few that are about. You have the classic late 70s, early 80s senior pitcher ever.
oh
That
yeah.
is the best senior pitcher ever, right there. That is
Braces.
great.
Yeah, especially the braces.
Yeah, I
When
was
did the
gonna say,
braces come off?
Shortly after that.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, has your wife seen this picture?
I don't know. Have you seen my senior picture? She says yes.
Okay.
all right. Long hair, braces. Braces got caught on a microphone screen.
Yeah,
Dude,
the hairdo.
he's wearing a
hairdo-
tie.
What's that?
I said, you're wearing a tie. I don't remember any other senior pitcher wearing a tie. You're the first tie I think I've seen.
I don't know. The hairdo, I asked my mom to put me in tiny little braids and then put setting solution on my hair.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us
Before
that
the
story.
picture, that was your request before the picture was done.
And was the goal to be taken with braids in your hair or just to straighten
No,
out?
no. I just wanted a bunch of curly, wavy.
Oh, I see what you're going for.
Going for the Fabio look.
That's great. Straight to the Fabio. Talking about school, you and I hung out a little bit in our really early ages. I remember coming over your place. You lived over there by the trophy shop, right? In Dryden?
Yeah.
Yes. I remember coming over a few times, but I have just scant memories of you and me hanging out, doing something, playing someplace in Dryden. I do have scant memories of that. But what I'm
Yes.
curious about is, we were in different cliques in high school. We all did our different little things. What was your high school experience like? Give me what you thought of, even junior high. When we got up to the big hill, what was your experience in school like?
Junior high, I don't know. I didn't know where my head was at. And halfway through seventh grade, I decided that I wanted to go to Brooktondale Baptist School. So I went there for half of seventh. I stayed there for all of eighth. Or no, yeah, I came back to Dryden in ninth grade. Went back to Brooktondale in 10th.
Really?
And then finished out Dryden 11th and 12th.
Really? What was the motivation to try out Brooktondale?
I don't know. Didn't know who I was searching for who I was.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I was brought up, my father was a deacon of the Dryden Baptist Chapel. He was one of the founding members of the Dryden Baptist Chapel. Like I said, it was a search for me, I guess.
Interesting.
Just because I'm interested, did you have a fairly strict upbringing then?
No, I did not. I was the youngest of six.
Wait,
And
stuff. There was 5 others that
yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah. My oldest sister is 16 years older than me.
I didn't know. Did they all go to Dryden?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know of any more Cobbs, Dave Seymour?
Oh, this is a lot of corn on the cobs. And so,
I had no idea. How did I'm
Well,
flabbergasted. I'm also
all
kind
right,
of
so run us
Both of-
through your brothers and sisters for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
My sister Marion is the oldest. Then there's my brother Bob. Then my sister Ruth, sister Kathy, and brother Dan. And Dan is 8 years older than me. So you guys probably never would have known him as an upperclassman.
I was going to say all of these guys would have been way before us.
way before.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was that late in life oops baby.
Ah.
Wow.
Are your brothers and sisters still with us?
Yes.
Very nice.
Are they in the Dryden area?
My brother Dan is in Cortland, and all the rest are spread throughout. Oldest sister is in Tennessee. My sister Ruth is in Groton. Bob is in North Carolina. My sister Kathy was a missionary to Brazil. So 4 of her kids hold dual citizenship, and they're back in the States now in the Chicago area.
I'm blown away. I had no idea. I honestly thought you were the only one. I
Nope.
apologize. I thought
No.
you were the only one.
Well,
So when you got established back to Dryden in your junior and senior year, who was your core group of friends back then?
Paul Long, John Robbins, and Shane Bartholomew.
Shane.
yep,
Okay.
I remember Shane.
And John just lived down the street from me. Yeah, I hung out with John Robbins quite a lot actually in the junior high school years.
Are you
Yep.
in touch with any of those guys at this point?
I saw John bartends at the VFW in Groton,
Mhm.
and I was over there for one of the musical acts that they have in the parking lot behind a couple of years ago, and we talked for probably an hour or more. Paul Long stopped by here a while ago. His wife passed away from cancer,
Oh,
and so he stopped by and just got reacquainted.
Yep.
He's down south somewhere living with one of his kids now.
and have you seen Shane by any chance?
I have not seen Shane since shortly after high school. He lived right next to Jeff Partis, so he was always over there when we were jamming.
Okay.
And I ran into him at a county fair probably 5 or 6 years after high school. And that was probably the last time I've seen him.
Yeah.
Other than seeing him in his truck. I don't know if you guys remember the truck that was driving around Dryden, the outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh, I don't.
That was Shane's truck.
It's a great movie, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm aware of that truck.
Are you aware of the
Sandy-
movie, though?
I
Sandy
showed that.
Abbey, because I was a tall, long-haired stoner,
Yeah.
gave me the nickname of Shaggy.
Not like Scooby-Doo Shaggy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have any teachers in any sequence when you were back in driving? Did you have any teachers that you really enjoyed, really favored, just or influenced you?
No, not really.
Really?
It was more of a get through it kind of thing.
You were
Yeah.
you were a high school survivalist. Get through it.
Stroog,
Yeah.
Stroog probably
Oh, yeah.
would be the one that comes to mind.
But you were marking time to get out, right?
Pretty much.
I kind of was too.
At some point.
I think we
Right.
all were. We all were.
Yeah.
I was not a good student.
I tried to keep a low profile, but cats like this guy over here, no, I tried,
Right.
but it didn't work out
My-
real well.
My senior year, they actually made the mistake of telling me exactly how many days I could miss and still graduate.
Give me the count, right?
Yeah. And that's how many I
I'm
missed.
surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't early credit out and just get it all knocked out and not even go for the senior year. Just get it all knocked out in your junior year.
Well, the
Few
funny
people
thing
did
is,
that.
and it's the credits that turned over from Brooksondale Baptist
Mhm.
put me way ahead.
Oh,
My senior year, I was taking so many freaking electives, it was crazy.
Just to fill the day.
Yeah.
And what
Pottery, home ec, metal shop, wood shop.
all the shops.
was your favorite metal shop project?
Here's a story for you.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the office for some reason one day,
No.
sitting there waiting. And you remember that movable podium they had
Yes.
that had that eagle on the front of it?
Yes.
That eagle came off very easily and went in my pocket. And that was the model for when we poured aluminum. I still have that on a gun rack, and they still use it to this day.
The podium with no eagle.
That's great.
That eagle is still used in wood shop to this, or metal shop to this day.
Oh,
Wow.
all right. Because you usually do a sand impression with the eagle so you can pour the
Yeah.
aluminum.
Yep.
That's hysterical.
We have no idea where that eagle came from.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
I think I friended Shellhammer a few years ago and told him that story. And he was like, really?
Really? You had no idea where that eagle came from.
He thought I had it from somewhere.
You
I
did?
did. From the office.
So, since we're letting out things that we did in school that weren't necessarily on the up and up, what else did you do? Any other stories that stick out in your head that you may have not gotten in trouble for?
We were putting a fair amount of smokables through.
Anything else?
Let me put it this way. We didn't have to pay for what we consumed.
Oh, Dave's going.
What does that mean? No.
Yeah, break that down for us, Gene.
No, I can't think of anything else. Like I said, I tried to keep a pretty low profile.
So Dave loves to stage this question. Go ahead, Dave. The big question that I always enjoy the most out of these conversations.
Yeah, so looking back now, Gene, what kind of advice would you have given yourself in high school with what you know now?
Probably be a little more serious about my studies. I mean, I could have got a lot better grades than I did. I think I graduated 76 out of however many people we graduated that year.
But you graduated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the important part. Anything else you'd tell 17-year-old Gene, 18-year-old Gene, 16-year-old Gene?
At that age, you can tell yourself what you think you want to be, but you really don't know.
Correct.
And it wasn't until much later in life that I found what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, finding that niche is tricky sometimes. You got to try, you got to have enough experiences to know what you like and what you don't like.
Because my guess is when you graduated school, your whole thing was very music centered. I was going to be a rock star kind of thing. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of us went through that.
I'm going to be in a band.
I'm going to be in a band. Yeah.
Now I have to ask, Did you ever come see Emerald Wood at Tweetman?
Not
Oh,
at
good
Tweetman's. I saw Emerald Wood at the Derby.
And was Leon and I still playing at that point? Or, Al Maycomer sat in for one gig at the Derby. He probably doesn't even remember.
I don't remember who the drummer was. Nancy Abdallah, Chris Jordan, and Toby were really
Yes, they were the core.
right.
And then Leon Heffron and I sort of came and went, and they picked up a new drummer and a new bass player shortly thereafter.
Was that Eddie Caloris, the bass player?
Entirely possible, yeah.
He and I got to be really good friends over the years.
Okay.
Oh,
And
nice.
he ended up in Vegas, and Renee and I were at Tom Petty watching the reunited James Gang play, and got a text from Toby's daughter Beth
Mhm.
that Eddie had passed away from a stroke.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, he had passed away a number of years ago. He had black curly hair and was kind of skinny guy, right?
Yep.
is there anything you want to ask me or Dave? No, go ahead, Dave.
How many basses do you have now?
Got to think about this.
Wow.
8 or 9,
Shut up.
counting the piccolos.
Okay, name them. Go.
Which one?
ESP LTD, which was when I actually had an endorsement when I was in Bentpeg. I've got Les Paul bass, Firebird bass,
Uh-oh.
EB3, and EBO.
What kind of Les Paul bass do you have?
It's ESP Les Paul.
Okay.
Tobacco burst.
Is it the short scale or long scale?
No, it's full scale.
Okay.
And that's the only one that I still have tuned in E.
Fair enough. And what's your favorite bass to play right now? What's the bass of choice?
The bass of choice is the Firebird.
You Gibson guys, I swear.
Now, Firebird differentiated from Thunderbird, right?
Thunderbird, not Firebird. Firebird's the guitar.
Because there is a Firebird.
Yes.
So is it a Gibson or
It's the ESP.
Okay. Is it neck heavy?
Quite.
Takes the dive.
Yep. Neck dive, big time.
So annoying.
Annoying. Yeah.
It's annoying, but the mass of the thing, it's got such big sound.
Oh, I bet it's fat tone.
The big fat toner. I love the way those sounded, but I spent as much time holding up the neck as I did playing the bass, right?
Yeah.
So the one I have right now, and I'd have to compare them. So I have something called a Gibson Money Bass, and it's got the Thunderbird ceramic pickups in it. It's full scale, but it's got a chambered body. And it's a 2007. They only made them for a couple of years in there, but it's got a nice thin neck like the old Les Paul basses used to have, and it's kind of a double cutaway Les Paul body kind of esque. Anyway,
Dave, tell them the bass that you've got. Tell them about your special bass. Oh, hang on. Before we do that, give us is that all your basses, Gene? Is that all of them?
Yeah, I think so. I can't think of the others.
All right. Now tell them about your special bass, Dave.
which special bass?
The one you got from yeah.
So you may or may not know, Gene. So we were playing at Tweetman's one night. Gary Bordenero stops in. He had just had his Les Paul Triumph bass refretted. And he brought it to Tweetman's that night. He goes, "Hey, you want to play it for tonight?" And I said, "I would love to play this tonight." So anyway, I played Gary's Les Paul Triumph. And then at the end of the night, he goes, "You want to buy it?" And so he needed some rent money. And so I bought his Les Paul Triumph bass off of Gary at that point. And so I've still got that bass. I've retired it because there's too much history in it now for me.
Right.
But I played it all the way through the 80s and the 90s until I got this other Gibson bass. Just because I couldn't bear going out to clubs because I'm still in an active party band. And I would just hate for anything to happen to that bass.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take that out anymore. But I still got it downstairs, but I have another Gibson that I play now. So anyway, I've got I've got some old pictures of Gary at Tweetman's playing that bass.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
so
very cool.
it's fun to have it. It's fun to sort of, you know, Gary and I chat on occasion. And you know, he always goes, "Hey, let me know if you ever want to sell my bass back to me." So he still refers to it as his bass.
Right.
Yeah, of course he does.
Now, I don't know if you knew or not, but in 2010, I'm pretty sure it was 2010, Max had a reunion down at, what was the club that they just tore down on the waterfront there?
Oh, yeah.
I-
Um,
Did it used to be the Haunt or was it something else?
it was originally the Haunt.
Yeah, even
And they-
before that, there was another place in there. But anyway, in 2010, they had a Max reunion at the,
Right.
did you happen to attend? Because it
I
was
did.
Gary,
Oh.
Mike, Al, Billy Beck was there, Toby was there.
Yeah. I was there for a short while. I think I listened to one set.
Okay. All right. I had the luxury of attending. And I don't know if you know or not, but Hip Shot, who makes the bridges, right, is up in Interlake.
Yeah.
And so I had stopped up at the Hip Shot factory up in Interlaken, and I had purchased a new bridge for that Les Paul bass. And the guy at the factory took me in, he mounted it for me, installed it, all this kind of stuff. And I stopped at the Max practice on the way back out of Interlaken. And you know, Gary he played probably a handful of songs on that bass. He's like, I haven't seen this bass in 30 years. And so it was a moment in time there where
Right.
he got to hold his old bass. But anyway, that was a cool story. So
Dave, when he first took me bass shopping, got pulled off the rack a Ibanez copy of an EBO.
was it an Ibanez?
It was an Ibanez.
Okay, that was over at Falso's in Portland.
Falso's Music. Dave says, "Yeah, this is the bass you want to buy." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I bought this copy, and tell him the problems with that bass, Dave. After we learned later.
Well, the only real problem was that it had kind of a funny wooden bridge to it.
Correct.
It had
There was no adjustments.
Had the 3-point Gibson bridge, but it had a piece of wood on there that gave it a really dull sound.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
The
do you
bridge
remember
was
this, Dave?
unbelievable.
Do you remember this part, Dave? I
What?
actually cut a copper pipe in half.
Oh yeah.
And I made a new bridge for that thing to replace the little chunk of wood there.
Yes.
And it brightens it
Nice.
up a bit. And so, cut a copper pipe in half and cut some little slits in it so it would stay put. But since it had that 3-point bridge, it was always kind of wonky anyway.
Yeah.
But
And I traded that bass in Alabama for a PVT 40.
Nice.
That was extraordinarily heavy as well.
I think it's almost as heavy as a black hole.
Yeah, pretty much. Same mass.
Same
Same mass as a black hole.
Same mass as a black hole.
Yeah, I've got one
Go
that
ahead.
I'll never get rid of. That's called a Track 2. And it's like a double cutaway Les Paul, mahogany, and it was made by Moroku in Japan. And Vantage
Mhm.
was the name of and I know a couple people that have Vantage guitars. John Robbins had a Vantage Les Paul, and a guitar player that I knew had the same double cutaway guitar that I have. And I ended up trading this god-awful blue Jackson, totally metal bass for this one because I knew what it was, and spent about a half an hour tweaking the neck, and I will never get rid of this guitar.
Ah,
Nice.
so now it
Just-
plays.
Passive EMGs, and the sound is just so nice.
Sweet.
Nice. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, Gene. You got anything you want to talk about real quick?
No, I'm good. It's
All right.
been very enjoyable.
We thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us. We had a little bit of a hiatus during the early parts of the summer,
Right.
and we're glad to be back. We're glad to have you with us, man. It's been very enjoyable. It's good speaking with you. I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're still playing bass. your job very honorable. So well done, sir. Well done, man.
Thank you much.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Gene, for hanging out tonight. I appreciate that.
All right. It's been fun.
All right. Take care, Gene.
Take care,
Take
man.
care, guys.
All
All
right.
right. I'll
Bye-bye.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.